So once again, a very good afternoon to everyone. Has the carbohydrates kicks in? Okay, so once again, thank you for the introductions, Ping Ping. My name is Steven. I'm from a company called WIR. We are based in Jakarta, Indonesia. For those of you who has not been to Indonesia or not familiar with Indonesia, let me tell you, we are not a sweatshop. We have 300 people working in the office in different departments. The company started in 2009. We've done numbers of projects around the world. And recently, a bit over 1 year ago, we became a public listed company. So I think after this, I'm going to approach Lotka and talk to her about how to improve ourselves when it comes to the things that she mentioned earlier, because I feel you. As a company, WRR actually stands for We Indonesian Rocks. So we would like to make our countrymen proud that there is a company based in Jakarta, Indonesia, who can speak globally. Now, we have won a couple of accolades, but I'm going to share to you one interesting story. A few years ago, we were invited to Nigeria to do a presidential, to take part in the election campaign. The candidate at the time asked us to create an augmented reality-based campaign, and luckily he won. He became the president. So Yasha here, who was involved in that project, was not executed and able to return to Jakarta safely, and he's here today. So give him a big round of applause, because his project won the award. I'm here today to talk about Metaverse because this is our latest project, long-term one, as Ping Ping has mentioned. So if we talk about the Metaverse, the hype might be over, but the conversation is still going on quite strong. But I need to put a bit of context here. When it comes to definitions, the Metaverse definition is still fluid. It really depends on who you are talking to. But everyone agrees that it is the next evolutions of the internet. Now, I need to rewind back. I don't know if you remember, there was an interview in 1995 between Bill Gates and David Letterman. Any of you remember that interview? I hope most of you have been born in that year. Yeah, so in 1995, if you remember, you can search the clip again on YouTube. David Letterman asked Bill Gates, please tell me about the internet. And then, of course, Bill Gates, being the visionary that he is, he tried to explain what you can do on the internet, the communications, the community, the selling and everything. And David was patronizing him, right? At the end, he was like, yeah, sure, okay. I felt like that. I feel like that today when I talk about Metaverse. So every day we have to face the skeptic, we have to face the pessimist, but at the office, of course, we have to remain optimistic. Now, a lot of things has been talked about, in the Metaverse area. In fact, lots of companies like McKinsey, JP Morgan, Deloitte, they all give their own predictions on how big the Metaverse would be. But once again, what happened in the last 6 months to 9 months, to us, is just a blip in the entire development of the Metaverse. So if we look at globally, all the developments are still ongoing. I have to apologize first, ladies and gentlemen. The number of Fortnite was wrong. It should say 250 million, not 80K. So once I go home, I will get someone to resign. Yeah, so these are global. Yeah, so this is globally, this is how the Metaverse are progressing at the moment. In fact, those two games, they are moving into Metaverse setup, even though at the moment their economy is sort of like a closed economy. And if you look at other players with their own expertise, they are also building different kind of metaverses. Those for virtual events, artistic. Maybe next year, Julian, we can do Indie Summit in Spatial, where everyone is wearing their VR. I have to tell you something. Last year, I was invited by a big bank in Jakarta to do a lecture exclusively using Oculus. I was actually enjoying it very much, because when you are on Oculus, you focus on your material, right? You cannot pick into your mobile phone, you cannot pick into your email, you just have to focus on the material. Yeah, so these are the current development that's happening globally. I don't know whether any of you attended South by Southwest a few months ago. Anyone went to, yeah? If you attended the event by Amy Webb, she actually shared a very interesting updates on how some technology will impact some of your industries. So these are your industries, and this is how the technology will impact you in the near term or in the long term. And if you can see the Metaverse here, most of them are in the medium to long term. So I'm here today to basically share with you the current development, specifically with the Indonesian case study. Okay, again, all this opportunity will open doors and have opened doors, specifically in the region that I'm operating in. At the end of the day, for us, we are building a Metaverse platform that will enable creators to co-create, to create positive zones, so that each of assets that they are building can be monetized. Okay, I have a questions earlier today. Somebody asked me, so how would you differentiate between a video game and a metaverse? So this would be the answer. In the metaverse setting, your digital life and your real life is in sync, right? When you play game, once you log out, that's it. But in metaverse, everything is in sync. Whatever you earn in the metaverse, we are creating a system where you can also withdraw your income, whatever you earn from the metaverse. The technology, we are very familiar with, AR, VR, AI, we've been involved with it in the last 10 years or so. We are building our own blockchain so that all these 4 E's can be beneficial to the creators. Again, for today, I'm going to talk specifically about the Indonesian market. We are number 4 in the world when it comes to the digital populations. Our gaming sectors, which is the seed of the metaverse, also going very strong. A survey was done, and 2/3 of our Gen Z are looking forward to the metaverse, including my kids, obviously, they have to. And Deloitte recently published a paper on how the metaverse will impact Indonesia specifically. And again, the numbers are very promising, with between 1.3 to 2.4% of the GDP. Okay. Indonesia might be unique because our regulators, in this case our central bank, is also preparing itself for the metaverse. So a white paper has been published at the end of last year, and usually once the paper is published, within 18 months it will become a reality. So the central banks already say they will issue a digital rupiah. First stage in next year will be for wholesale banking, and then after that will be for retail banking, which means then the average Indonesian will be able to transact inside the metaverse using our digital rupiah. So once again, friends, I have not mentioned the word crypto at all since the start of my presentation, because we don't need cryptocurrency in our metaverse since the Indonesian government is going to issue digital rupiah anyway. All right, so many of you are independent business owners. What would be the opportunity? Again, the way I see it is the opportunity to experiment at this juncture, right? Agencies, at best, will create the opportunity to create the experience for your clients. You don't have to get involved in thinking or experimenting with the technology, because then people like us will create the platform. All you have to do is just use the platform. For example, last year we contacted Fortnite. There was a friend of ours who owns an agency, and he wanted to do a concert for one of the local musicians in Indonesia. We helped him contacted Fortnite, and Fortnite say, sorry Steve, all the way until the end of 2022, no more slots, right? So this kind of thing are starting to happen. These are the brands that already experimenting in the Metaverse. In Indonesia alone, we have about 120 institutions already sign up with us and start to work on the ideas on how they can create experience inside the Metaverse. So slowly it's happening. You probably notice a lot of banks are trying to get into the Metaverse. Why is that? Because there will be transaction inside the Metaverse, and you need financial institutions for that. The other thing is also, when we talk to banks, banks is always affected by technology, right? First, you build branch, and then ATM came, apps came, and now everything is branchless, right? They created coins, they created money, now everything is cashless. So banks will always have challenges when it comes to technology. With the Metaverse,